Hello there, so it's John Sibbald and Andrew Grant here. This presentation is an introduction to forced marriage and the basics that you need to know. So over to you, Andrea.
So the aims of today's session, what is a forced marriage, for you to gain an awareness of the signs and who you can go to for guidance and support.
So I guess we're starting off with the definitions.
That's
yeah?
right, yeah. So it's slightly different definitions.
Okay.
Talking about a marriage, marriage must be entered into with the full and free consent of both people. The two people should feel that they have a choice.
Okay, I think in the West we presume that might be different in other countries where some of our students come from. Yeah. Great.
So then if we look at the difference between a marriage and a forced marriage, in a forced marriage, one or both people are forced into the marriage against their will or without their permission.
So might this be parents telling their child that they are going to get married?
That's right, yeah, and they would choose the partner, and they might not have met or anything like that, and they just say, this is who you're going to get married to.
So sometimes we might be aware of things called arranged marriages, perhaps in countries like Pakistan, where parents and families meet, and I think from what I've gathered that in the case of a girl, that various younger men would be brought to the family and there would be a certain amount of choice, but at the end of the day the parents would decide who they would marry.
That was going to be the next thing that I came on to.
Sorry, jumping ahead.
It's fine. The difference between obviously an arranged marriage and a forced marriage, as you're quite right, is that in an arranged marriage that the young people have normally met. They've agreed to that marriage, even though the parents might have chosen partners, they're quite happy to go along with it, and the marriage is entered into freely by both parties.
I like that picture there. Okay, so obviously we're talking about safeguarding, so in terms of students at the academy, who's at risk?
Right, so really any young person under the age of 18, obviously male or female, who may come from a family or a culture where they support forced marriage.
Okay. That's great.
And just to give you a few statistics, there are between 250 to 300 cases per year reported to authorities in this country.
That's quite a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I think when I interrupted you before, that difference between forced or arranged.
Yeah. We were just, obviously when I've done this with students, we've looked at words that people might come across.
Okay.
So for instance, words you might hear about a forced marriage or an arranged marriage. So, you know, you might hear that to coerce somebody into something, we do a little bit of a quiz to say, would that come under forced marriage or arranged marriage, or if you blackmail somebody, you know, but if you sort of support somebody, that would come under more of arranged than it would under forced.
Okay. There's a video I think we now want you to watch, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. There is a video. In the video it shows a young girl who's about to do her A-levels, a bright young lady, and she talks about what the marriage that she thinks, or the relationship she thinks she's going to enter into. She's going on a family holiday, she's going abroad, and she's going to meet this lad who she thinks may become her boyfriend. But in the video, when you watch it, it clearly shows how that then turns into a forced marriage, and how she's held captive, how she's beaten, how she's abused by the young man himself and the parents of that young man.
You've watched the video, so Andrew, back over to you with the warning signs.
Yeah, okay, so there are clear warning signs that you should, as professionals, be looking out for. And these affect the young people and possibly your conversations with parents. So you may get a parent that becomes less interested in that child's education. So when you're phoning home to give a progress update, where they've always been really interested and focused before, actually they're quite dismissive and not bothered anymore, and that should be a warning sign. A parent that asks for an extended holiday or you know, to go abroad. Where a young person suddenly appears to be isolated or their movement's restricted, so they may be isolated in school from their peer group because they're being isolated in the community, so they fall out with friends, and people are a little bit concerned as to why that might be. A young person might be chatting with their friends about going shopping for a big shopping expedition for some special clothes for a special ceremony that's taking place. a trip abroad to visit a sick relative or to take part in a celebration. Parents are not always open and honest as to why that young person might be being taken abroad. Or they may talk about an elder sibling who's left education early and has gone abroad, and they live abroad and they've not returned and they've not heard from them for a while. And obviously changes in behaviour are a key thing that we should be looking for.
Some good warning signs there, definitely. Okay.
I just wanted to touch a little bit on honour-based crime, because from forced marriages we do get incidences of honour-based crime. And just to give you that definition, an honour-based crime is a violent crime or an incident which may have been committed to protect or defend the honour of the family or the community.
Okay.
So where an arranged marriage has been put in place and somebody has refused to go through with that marriage. It's often linked to family members or acquaintances who mistakenly believe someone has brought shame to that family or that community. So it's all about their culture and their beliefs and their perceptions of how that will impact on their standing within that community.
I think the one you hear of quite often is older brothers whose younger sisters do something which is deemed inappropriate, and as a result of that, the older brother has to, or the father has to do something against the sister as a result of that.
That's right, yeah, to almost to win back their sort of status, yeah. So things where, John, you're right, where people might sort of think that an honour-based crime is appropriate is becoming involved with a boyfriend or a girlfriend from a different culture or a religion, or where somebody might not want to go through with an arranged marriage, or where somebody wants to get out of a forced marriage. And sometimes it's just them trying to set themselves apart from that community, where they might not want to wear traditional dress or follow traditional cultures.
I know from having worked at another North Manchester school, it's the difficulty that some particular girls tread between obviously wanting to respect the wishes and values of the parents and the culture, but at the same time they see themselves as British and, you know, wanting to be a modern British Muslim, and it's how they tread that tightrope in a sense, isn't it?
And it is a very fine line, and parents react in very different ways. So just to give young people some guidance, that if they feel, or some guidelines where for support if they think that they're perhaps in danger of a forced marriage, there's no religious basis for a forced marriage. You won't find it in any religious texts. And young people under the age of 18 can seek their own solicitor and legal advice, and they will be provided with legal aid to support them in that process. And if they are under the age of 18, i.e. 17 or below, they can apply to the courts in their own name and become a ward of court. And this prevents any family member actually being able to take them out physically of the jurisdiction of that court.
Didn't know that.
And then, obviously, a little bit about where you can get help and support from. If you are worried that a young person might be in danger of being forced into a marriage, we would follow our normal safeguarding procedures. And obviously that information for you, it will be on the shared area, but obviously pop along and speak to myself if you've got any concerns. You can also contact Childline, the NSPCC, and there are web links on the presentation. The police on 999 or 101, and there is a designated forced marriage unit, and the information is there as well.
That's great, Andrew. Well, thanks for providing me with that information today. I hope everybody else found that useful. Sorry for the glitch earlier on, but you can watch it again and again if you want. Thanks a lot. This is